Hello world, Cossy here with a new Geek Movie review, this time for DC Universe Animated movie Justice League War. Now for those of you who don't know, Justice League War is based on the new Justice League origin for the DC's New 52, written by Jeff Johns, and this movie looks at how the Justice League is formed and how they come up against their first ever big threat, which is Darkseid. Now, what did I think about the movie? Well, first off, I don't think this is quite up to the standard of some of the previous DCU animated movies. Not that it is entirely bad, just it's not up to the standard of some of the previous ones. The animation itself, once again, is very Japanese style, very sort of anime style. In some places it works, in some places it doesn't. I think the character model for Wonder Woman looked very strange. She looked very stretched out. The character designs for Cyborg in certain parts of this movie looked very odd. His character design does change, and by the end of the movie looks a lot better, but some of the points in between where they get into that end point where it sort of settles down, kind of looks very strange, especially when Vic first becomes Cyborg. Very odd, and I was struggling with the look to take it seriously. There were some great action sequences that have been mapped out in the animation itself. Brilliant. Some actually better than what you've seen in modern day action films. So I say not all bad, but some ways not quite right for the movie itself. Screenplay, great up-to-date references, great interplay between the members of this newly forming Justice League. However, the flow of the movie itself was hampered by the screenplay. Sometimes it felt like they were throwing in a section where there was some banter between, say, Batman and Green Lantern, just to show that they're interacting. Then there'd be something happening that seemed to not connect at all to that, and then it would move on to something else entirely. The flow was not correct, and the screenplay had a major impact on that flow, which was a shame, because this is obviously an origin story. It's a story that a lot of people will want to see told. Also in the screenplay, they chose to replace Aquaman with Captain Marvel, who wasn't called Captain Marvel, was called Shazam, which was confusing because that's not Shazam. Shazam's the wizard. Won't be confusing to people who don't know anything about the character, but for anyone who's been a fan of DC Universe will find that strange. And a part of the script where he tells everyone his name and something doesn't happen that usually happens when he says his name, well, when he says Shazam, which is very important later on from a plotline point of view, but it doesn't happen earlier, and therefore leaves this massive plot hole of why it happens sometimes and not other times. Very strange. I think, though, the characterizations in the screenplay were well done. It was just a shame that it didn't flow correctly and it felt slightly disjointed. Voice acting, up and down. I think Sean Astin as Shazam, or Captain Marvel, I'm going to call him Captain Marvel, that's who he is, DC, I know you maybe can't call him that, but as Captain Marvel was absolutely spot on. I don't know whether they blew a large proportion of the budget on him, but he was fantastic. Alan Tudyk as Superman as well, great, absolutely spot on, what you expected. Same can be said for Shamar Moore as Cyborg. However, the rest of the voice cast seemed slightly weak. Now, we've seen these movies in the past have huge blockbuster names voicing characters, and they've worked very well. We've also seen the cast of the Justice League Animated cartoon series, who all fit the bill perfectly, come back and reprise their roles. Why they didn't do that with this movie, I don't know. In particular, Justin Kirk and Jason O'Mara as Green Lantern, Batman, sounded slightly like they were doing impressions of actors who have portrayed the characters before, and slightly, in the case of O'Mara, like he just had a bit of a cold. I don't know why DC don't just get Kevin Conroy to do all of Batman's voices in these movies. The guy's got Batman down to a T. I mean, he is the quintessential Batman voice. Just sign him up. We don't need other people doing it. For the fans of the original comic series, yes, there are 5 or 6 very obvious changes from that origin mini-series that we saw in the New 52 Justice League comic. They will stand out. I don't want to go into too many details, but you'll see them. There's also an after-credit scene which sets up, I'm assuming, a follow-up movie or episode if they're going to spin this off into a TV series, which is interesting. Now, whether or not that actually happens, we'll have to see, but it's worth waiting to see an after-credit scene in an animated movie for a change, not just a theatrical release. So overall thoughts from me. Well, not perfect, not terrible. A solid 3.5 star movie from the DC Animated Universe here. Worth a watch, but not really worth dropping a great deal of money currently on iTunes, which is the only place you can get it in the UK, or importing the Blu-ray. Okay guys, as always, thanks for watching. Down there is a like button, you click on that and you let me know that you like this video. Up there is a link to my last Geek Movie review, so you can pop out and watch that. It was for the fantastic Lego movie. In the description box is a link to my Facebook, my Twitter, my Tumblr and my Instagram, so you can follow me on the interwebs, find out what's going on with me and with this channel. And until next time, au revoir.